Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Huddle, folks. Today's Friday, and Friday is all about leadership and business. And today I have two phenomenal guests. One's a surprise to the other. And you're in for a real treat. You're about to be empowered as a business owner to bring the best out of your people inside of this question: how to empower and lead your employees to be their best. And one of our guests happens to be a lawyer. So in honor of that, I have a lawyer's joke.
Oh,
Andrea, how do you differentiate between a good lawyer and a bad lawyer?
I'm going to not answer that question.
In deference to dear Sandra, I'll tell you, a bad lawyer lets the case go on for plenty of years. A good lawyer can take even longer.
That's
It's all-
mean.
it's all about what's necessary for the outcome.
I agree, Sandra.
Welcome to the Daily Huddle again, wherever you are. Today is the day you get to empower yourself, to empower and lead your employees to give and be their very best. And before we dive into the question, I have a few questions to ground us here in this present moment. I'll begin with you, Bertine. Bertine, what time is it?
The time is right now, Sandra L.
The time is right now, indeed. Try to make it any other time, you might go a little crazy. Thank you for being here, Bertine. Folks, Bertine's going to be my co-host in some way, because to a large degree, the accomplishment that Sandra is a function of Bertine's work. So I want to take the time to introduce you to that work, the way the work is shaped, and the way the work gets to create such levels of accomplishment in very little time. And I want you as the Daily Huddle family to have not only the opportunity to taste that for yourself, but the opportunity to be that, just like Sandra is. So today, Sandra is actually launching her first book, and you're here to cause a bestseller, as I am here, and I invited her to do that precisely. So you'll learn a little more about that. But for now, let's go into our second question. Andrea, where are you, and who are you going to hug today?
I am right where I need to be, and I'm going to hug myself and then my boyfriend who is next to me.
You know, there's nothing selfish about hugging yourself.
Oh,
And
absolutely
you always
not.
go for that.
I always go for me first.
Thank you for being here, Andrea. Thank you for being part of the live studio audience here on Zoom. I've got one other friend, Mr. Fareed. Tell me, how are you today?
I am who I say I am. And today, I am compassionate.
Compassionate.
I am compassionate today.
Yeah, you know, I feel led to ask you, who's going to be the lucky recipient of your generous compassion today?
Oh, well, I'll give that to myself. To myself.
Start right there, my friend.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I want to take a moment and introduce our guest expert, Miss Sandra Jean Esquire. And I'll tell you a little bit about her that's kind of formal. And given that I've known you for so long, Sandra, I want to ask you a couple of personal questions just to break the ice and get you to relax. So Sandra is an attorney. She's the managing founder and CEO of the Jean Consulting Group, LLC. She started the firm after serving for the past 25 years in corporate America as an in-house counsel, an SVP, head of HR for various healthcare organizations. So there's nothing about her being a lawyer that's not just top-notch, in demand everywhere. She's also the co-founder of the Georgia Haitian-American Chamber of Commerce. And additionally, she serves as the vice president of leadership and as the board member of the Georgia Association for Women Lawyers, and also founded the Georgia Haitian-American Lawyers Association. Sandra is tireless in her quest to make a difference for her community. Sandra is tireless in her quest for excellence everywhere she goes. And she's tireless as a friend. If you want a friend for life, and you have the guts to be with a friend who will hold you accountable to be the best you can be, look no further. Sandra, I'm so happy to have you in my life. So happy to have you on the Daily Huddle. And I want you to crack the place open for us by answering this question for me before we dive into the question. Tell me, what do you love most about being Sandra?
That's a question. What do I like? I like to see everybody win. I would say that my biggest asset is to connect people and see how we can leverage what God has given us and help each other be the best that we can be. That was off the top of my head, but that's definitely my best. That's what makes me happy. That's what keeps me going. And I think as an attorney and as an HR professional, I've been blessed to be able to be in a position to advocate for others and make a difference every day that I wake up.
Yeah, and the other side of that question is, if there was one thing about you that's there and you wish it wasn't there, so what is it that you don't like the most about being you?
I'm impatient. I'm impatient. I want things to happen now. I have a quest for excellence, and sometimes that's not a good combination. When you want excellence at every level and you're impatient, you tend to fire up people.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for playing with me and creating, being just a little friendly and personal and personable about it all. And I wanted to surprise you this morning and bring on our very good friend, Bertine Crèvecoeur-West. And I want to give you a minute
Oh, yes.
to
Give me a
introduce
minute.
her in
Yes.
your own words.
Yes.
How would you
Um,
introduce Bertine if you were to do that now?
One word: game changer. That's what I have in mind every time I think about her. And now every time I interact with people, I say, depending on where they are, I say, you haven't met Bertine? And she can attest to that. I'm forever bringing up her name. And I describe her as such because that's what she's done for me. I always say I'm an excellent attorney. I know that. I've been an attorney for 26 years. I endeavor to be the best at everything that I do. But what Bertine has done is she's added a layer to me that I didn't even know existed. I'll tell you a story. I had a coach, and I loved her. She was excellent. But when I spoke with Bertine, I immediately identified that as a business owner in the new phase that I was in my life, partnering with Bertine would really take me to the next level. And I struggled with letting go of my other coach, but eventually I did it. And it's been nothing but a quest for greatness and excellence and everything combined. So I'll go back to my word. She is a game changer.
Yeah. Well, Bertine, thank you for being a game changer. And what I want to acknowledge above everything else is your stand, Bertine, and your stand, Sandra, for women. And it's not like you stand for women at the expense of men, but you're standing for women. And in standing for women, you end up being these icons for everyone. So thank you for being you, and thank you for being here. So let's dive into the question, right? How to empower and lead your employees to be their best. And we're doing that inside of the context of Sandra launching a book. And Sandra, it might be cool for you to introduce the book, but I'm going to take host privilege and say that this book is Bertine's baby, because you are her baby. So Bertine, how would you introduce that book?
Hello, everybody. I love the accolades, but I'm gonna make this clear. Sandra L. Well, first, Sorrel, thank you for connecting us, because in her, not only did you connect me to a client that is really one of my favorite clients of all time, but really to a sister, to a friend, to a colleague that really, I believe in that saying, iron sharpens iron. And I feel like that is our relationship. We want to see each other win. And so the thing I know about this book is that this is all the brain power of this amazing attorney, amazing leader in not only the Haitian community, but in the community of attorneys, in the community of professionals in our state, statewide. And so with this, the only thing that Sandra didn't see was her ability to be an amazing author and use that as a business strategy. So while I love getting credit for this book is all Sandra, and I got to walk alongside her in this journey and take honestly, the magnificence of her mind and her compassionate nature for people to really help her make this into this amazing book and this amazing guide. And this book, I will say, if I'm going to introduce it, I would introduce it as not only Sandra L. This magnificent piece of work, but it is a KPI. And we usually think of KPIs as key performance indicators in business. But with Sandra, this KPI is her keeping people informed, keeping people included, keeping people invested in not only their companies, but their careers and their growth. So while it's focusing on human resources, it's actually a book that is not only instructional, but it's aspirational and it's inspirational. That's how I would introduce this book.
Oh my God, the play on the eyes is just perfect. I'm already invested. So Sandra, so from the standpoint, from your vantage point as the expert, how would you say that you can empower business owners to lead and empower their employees to be their best?
Thank you for that question, Sorrel. The book really was written, it's funny, I'll just give a little background. I was in a company that was operating in about 8 states, so multi-state, and we needed to empower the HR professionals with some very actionable, granular steps on how to manage the workforce in their workplace. And I thought about it and said, having a guide using all this knowledge would be great to just document and share as a resource. And so that was done a couple of years ago. But then when I met Bertine, and thank you for pointing that out, I did meet Bertine through you, Sorrel. And she was like, we can take this and turn it into a business strategy and inform the world, make sure that not just that group you wrote it for knows about it, but let's just make it more applicable to a more broad audience, if you will. And so the key points in the book really is to help not only HR professionals understand how they can be great in their role, but also business owners that very often for the small business owners, they act as their own HR resource. And so this is a great resource for them, one place go to that touches upon recruitment, onboarding, orientation, the life cycle of the employee. And then the icing on the cake is the legal pitfalls they need to be aware of. There is an auditing and compliance component to the book for anyone that want to use it to understand these things are just as important. When I launched the Gene Consulting Group last year full-time, my purpose was to serve small business owners, and my tagline really is for them to stay out of trouble, stay regulatory compliant, and keep the hard-earned money that they invested their skills into bringing. So my objective is for them to use this resource. It's for them to be empowered, and the twist to that, I don't know that it's an irony, so I'll call it the twist, is that even as an employee, when you read this, you walk away empowered as well, because knowledge is power. And when you're an employee and you have a resource like this at your fingertip, and you understand the expectation, how an employer should treat you, the laws that apply to you as an employee in the workplace, you show up differently. They always say, if you want better questions and better answers, ask a better question. But for you to ask better questions, you need to know, you have to have knowledge. You need to know how to ask those questions. And most importantly, what to ask about. And that's what this book does.
Perfect. Well, we're at about 17 after, and the time flies on the show. So I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You've got 1 or 2 sentences, like bam, bam, right?
Try to get a lawyer to answer.
In creating this conversation, Sandra and I looked and we said, you know what? To empower and lead your employees to be their best doesn't begin when you actually have them on board. It begins way before. It begins when you actually are in the process of identifying the employees, when you're in the process of attracting them, when you're recruiting them, when you onboard them, when you train and develop them, and when you actually do everything it takes to retain them as part of your team. And then there was the legal as the icing on the cake. So those 7 aspects, Sandra, identifying employees, what do you want to say to empower our business owners?
Make sure you understand who you're looking for. Before you post that job, do the homework and find out, what do I need in order for this team to operate at its highest level? And then go and identify who that should be out there.
And once you point a finger to that group of people or that person with those characteristics, how do you attract them?
Being active, being visible. I encourage every business owner to be visible in their community, because that's how you create leads that are going to turn into applicants. Use social media, use your platforms, network, but understand, once you identify who you need, be visible so you can attract the right applicants for that team, for what you want to create.
And once you've put the bait out there and people are swimming in that water and they're saying, I want some of this company, I want some, how do you do the recruiting and onboarding?
Staying connected. A lot of people will find the right candidate, the right applicant, and then they lose them during the recruitment and onboarding process. Make sure that it's a process that is user-friendly. That's not 100 steps and people get overwhelmed and walk away. Make it user-friendly. Make sure that they understand first impression, that they want to work for you as well, because you've identified them. Now they are getting to know you and wanting to know whether they want to be part of your team.
Now,
and that's great.
You said something that's like surprising, like people would attract them, but they lose them during the recruitment and onboarding process. What would you say is the #1 pitfall that would cause that person you've identified to walk away during the recruitment and onboarding process?
I'll say 2 things: lack of communication, and the second one is a burdensome process. People, especially these days, rapid fire, just like we're doing. So you need to work with your HR or whoever handles that for you to make sure that it's a rapid fire process, that you get the essential information that you need and stay connected with them because they're still getting to know you.
Awesome. So now they're on board.
Yeah.
Training and developing and retention. What are the gems you want to share with us regarding those two spots?
Making sure that it's a safe workplace for them. I want to acknowledge Dr. D because he's dedicated his life to making sure that employers understand a safe workplace is not just OSHA driven in terms of slips and trips and all of that. It's also the mental aspect. We live in a society where things are happening so quickly and we have so much on our plate. You have to take care of the whole employee. You have to get to know them, engage them, make sure they feel safe to ask questions, to come to work. They spend most of their waking hours at work. If it's not safe, you're creating an additional burden that actually impacts the bottom line because people are your greatest assets. And if you don't take care of them, your bottom line will suffer. And statistics show the companies that invest in their people, make sure they're valued, end up doing well.
And we spoke about legal being the icing on the cake. Well, what do you want to say about the legal aspect of empowering and leading your employees to be their best?
And I'm trying to think how quickly I can say that. There's nothing like working hard, bringing in the money only for you to lose it on the back end. I will say Georgia is the #3 state after Mississippi, #1, Alabama, #2, and Georgia is #3. So it's Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia are the top 3 states for people-related lawsuits. So that's the reason, that's again, partly the reason I've made it now my quest to work with business owners to say, look, if you follow these rules, if you take care of your people, they're less likely to sue you. But also more importantly, trust but verify, right? Because you can have the right processes and everything. If you don't verify through auditing and understanding the legal regulations, the regulations that can impact you, then it would be for nothing. So you want to do all of it. And this book provides them the cornerstones, if you will, the bookends for running a business efficiently, not only bringing in the money, making sure you have the right talent pool, but also keeping them and avoiding lawsuits.
Thank you for that, Sandra. You mentioned Dr. D. I wanted to bring him in and spotlight him to give you, Dr. David Daniels, the opportunity to ask Sandra the first question in this round of Q&A.
Well, that's an honor, Your Honor.
He calls me Your Honor all the time.
I do. Part of that is because I believe in speaking things into existence, and every good lawyer has the possibility of being a judge because there's judges out there right now that aren't great attorneys. But anyway, so Sandra, you talked a little bit about my favorite topic. So share a little bit more about the importance of additional expertise when treating other human beings, when managing other human beings and leading them. When you don't know something, you can try to learn it yourself, or you can reach out to folks such as yourself who do. And so talk a little bit about, how the book can help people who I'm not really sure what to do, but it can help them make a connection to folks that do.
If I understand your question correctly, and the book, what's the differentiator for this book is the fact that there are some actionable steps in there that you can easily implement regardless of your background, regardless of how much you know. It was written at the entry level, if you will. It's very relatable. It's meant to give people an aha moment. It's not necessarily introducing things that you wouldn't have heard before, but it's reminding you of things. And the purpose of the book, again, is to empower you at the granular, at the micro level, to be able to see an area, whatever area that Sorrel mentioned, whether it's identifying, attracting, recruiting, onboarding, all these areas, you can go to a specific section of the book and say, aha, and walk away with something you can easily implement, and that would make a difference for you in managing your workforce.
Thank you.
All right, well, now everyone, you have an opportunity to ask Sandra a question or two. And I say everyone because as entrepreneurs, whether you're a solopreneur or a small business owner, you might think, gosh, you know, I don't have anybody to recruit. I'm not going to recruit people. This is not about me. I want you to know that this is really about you. Here at the Daily Huddle, one of the things we bank our hats on is that you exist to grow, and the difference that you make in the world only gets to happen because you grow, and you can't grow on your own. You've got to bring people on. So in the context of wanting and being willing to grow your business, what question do you have for Sandra?
I actually don't have a question, but I do have a statement that I placed in the chat. This book, the way that Sandra created it, as some of you who might know me know, I work in not only the business space, but the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. So this book not only aligns with, you know, all that it takes to become compliant in your business, but it also creates organically an inclusive work environment. And an inclusive work environment is one that is not only, as data has shown us, and those who know me know I love data, but as data has shown us, an inclusive work environment is one that creates not only a sustainable environment based upon belonging, but it also creates an agile and innovative professional environment where you can harness the power of your team. So that's why I go back to those KPIs that Sandra really is helping people and empowering them to create with this book. So it serves multiple purposes. So I also put the link to the book in the chat. And so I just want to take a moment to remind everybody that today is her bestseller campaign. So if you purchase the Kindle copy today, you will help this amazing woman, this empowered leader, this lover of people, become an Amazon bestseller. So just a quick reminder there in the chat for you all. But this book, as I said, it's an amazing resource serving business owners, but also the everyday person.
Thank you for that, Bertine. And I want to stand on your shoulders and actually make a request and not a reminder. So we exist to empower one another. And in causing a bestseller, we're not causing it for Sandra. We're causing it for the community. So I'm inviting each of you right now to grab the link in the chat. And if you're listening to me and you're watching on Facebook, you may be in Haiti, you may be in Argentina. Sophia, I know you're in Colombia. Grab the link, spend a few dollars to say with your words, say with your hearts, and say with your fingers, I am causing a bestseller now. And I'm doing that now. I'll give you a moment to do that. And while we're doing that, Sandra, I want to give you the honor of the last words of the day, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who showed up. I'm looking at the number. That is amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but thank you, Sorrel, for the opportunity. Thank you, Bertine, for being my guiding light. And I know Mr. Bradshaw was on the line and he left, but I want to thank him as well. This book is a compilation of a lot of people that invested in me over years. You know, I could name a few other leaders, even within my career, that always pushed me to do better, to try to just tap into my talents. And so thank you for all of that. I want to invite everybody to visit my website or visit me on social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn. My posts are all public. It's Sandra L. Jean. You will see the Amazon. I changed my profile photo to the book in the Amazon link. So you can visit me there as well. Just search Sandra L. Jean and I'll come up, hopefully. And you'll see me and you can just purchase the book there as well if you don't have access to the chat here. My website is sandraljean.com. It's the Jean Consulting Group, and call me. I can help you with whatever you're struggling with in your business if it relates to people or contracts.
Yeah. Sandra, thank you for being the one who gathers this village together. Anna Maria is here. I want to acknowledge you. Levi Dorselli, I'd love for you to come on camera so I can see your face. I haven't seen you in so long. And Sandra, right before we part, we're 1 minute over. If you were driving away and you said, oh my God, there's this one thing I wanted to tell entrepreneurs about bringing the best out of their people, and I didn't, what would you say?
The golden rule. Treat others like you would like to be, the way you would like to be treated. And I think if that's your guiding principle, you can't miss it. Because what I see is there's dissension and dissatisfaction among the workforce when they feel like they're just a number. So find a way to get to know their middle names, or what they did the weekend. Connect with your people. Maintain and sustain a culture that is driven to taking care of your people, and everything else will fall in place. Very often people are more concerned about the bottom line. Are we making money? And I can assure you that if you take care of your people, you will make money. So that's my advice.
Thank you, Sandra. Take care of your people, take care of yourself. We'll close the show with our 8 tenets. Folks, the Daily Huddle is this family, this space that I call a dojo for leadership. And we're here every weekday morning from Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Or a little bit over.
One more thing, Sorrel, I do want to acknowledge my brother. I think Ganel's fist is on there, so I want to say hi to him.
Oh my God, shout out to brother. Good deal, good deal. Well, folks, love always. Laugh out loud. And if you can't laugh at a silly joke, get a good friend to tickle you to death. Stress less. Life is short. Enjoy friends, enjoy people, stress less. Eat, my business partner and co-founder of the Daily Huddle loves to say, eat mostly plant-based. And he says mostly plant-based. So we can give you the opportunity to reserve that spot in your life for good hamburger, loaded with bacon and cheese. Life is to be lived that way. Give of everything you have. Move, sleep, rest, and last but not least, check your assumptions. More often than not, they're probably wrong. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. This is your show for today. Sandra, thank you for being here. Bertine, thank you for being my co-host. I love you both, and I love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So ends our show. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Thank
Great
you,
work.
everyone. Have a good day now. Bye.